Hey, what's happening? I'm Jonas, and this is the House of Hustle. Real topics, real people, real movement. We'll see you soon. We're live back in the studios, Blacklight Studios to be exact, the House of Hustle, and in the building we got the one, the only J Theiss. What's up, brother?
What's going on?
How you doing, man?
Doing well, man.
I'm happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
For sure, brother, for sure. Let's get this thing started, bro. So first off, where you from?
From Kansas City, North Kansas City. Born and raised.
North Kansas City.
Yeah.
Man, we talking actually North Kansas City or the north of the river Kansas City? Because I learned when I was helping some people out in North Kansas City that there was actually a North Kansas City jurisdiction, police officers, city hall, all that. I didn't know that. I just always called North Kansas City
north of the river. Yeah. No. So I was actually born St. Luke's Hospital up off of like Berry Road.
Okay.
But I lived primarily in Gladstone.
Okay.
Most of my youth.
So.
But I've been around pretty much most of like actual metro North Kansas City.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, man, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So that's what's up. How was it growing up?
It was cool, you know. Pretty humble upbringings. I grew up. It was myself, my mom, my aunt, my grandmother, and my grandfather all in the same house.
Nice.
My mom and dad had split very early on after having me, so my mom stayed with them until she was able to get back on her feet.
Cool. Still family structured though. That's kind of that's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You know, I think sometimes I think it's better that way sometimes when you got more people in the house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It has its ups and downs, but sometimes I think when you got more people helping out raising kids, sometimes you just get a better upbringing sometimes.
It just depends. A sense of family. My aunt growing up was kind of always like a big sister to me more than she was an aunt.
An aunt, for sure.
And then when my mom was always working, my grandma and I spent a lot of time together.
Okay.
And her and I actually got like really close.
Definitely. So, you had any interest in sports or anything growing up? You wanted to be a baseball player, basketball player? What was your dream? What was your dream growing up, bro?
Man, I've always been indecisive. Like always just like, well, I could do this, I could do that. I think briefly I wanted to play basketball.
Basketball?
Yeah. We had a little like basketball goal in the driveway, and I would just always kind of hoop and try to dunk and do the Allen Iverson tricks and everything. But once I found music, man, that was really kind of like my end all be all.
Okay. Who was your favorite basketball player growing up?
Honestly, it was probably Allen Iverson, man. I had this video game I used to play. It was like slam dunk something. It was like street basketball.
Okay.
Basically. And I would play that one, man. Like you could customize the characters, outfits, like the cars. I forget the name of the video game. I play that all the time. But Allen Iverson probably was one of my favorite players.
Nice. So, getting out of that basketball phase of like, I ain't going to the NBA. When did you pick up music?
I picked up music around the time I was like 9.
9?
10.
Early.
Yeah.
Early. Was anything being played in the house that got you your interest sparked into that, or what?
I mean, growing up in the house I was in, there was always music.
Okay.
My grandfather actually had aspired to be a country musician.
Okay. And
I didn't know this until later on, but he actually played country. Around Christmas he'd bring the guitar out and sing like old Elvis or whatever. He didn't play music very often, but then both my mother and my aunt sang in high school choir, and my aunt also sang in the church choir.
Okay.
So music was always
a big thing. Nice. So what was you listening to at 9 years old? What was you I remember my first introduction to my own style of music, because of course my parents had their thing. I think it was MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice. I know I'm a little older than you. That was my first cassettes.
Right.
Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer on Christmas. What was your thing? What were you? What had you? What caught your attention?
So I had a stereo in my room in my grandparents' house before my mom and I moved out, and she married my stepdad. But I had a stereo in my room, and because my grandparents were like really strict with the music I could listen to and everything, my first hip hop CD was actually Lil Bow Wow's Doggy Bag album.
Okay.
And that just like for some reason like it got me the bug, man. It just really captivated me into hip hop. Then my taste grew from there. So Lil Bow Wow's Doggy Bag was my first like hip hop album.
Your first hip hop album.
Yeah.
So listening to that, did you start writing your own little rhymes or trying to put something together, or?
It actually wasn't a little till later. I moved schools. I switched schools.
Okay.
When my mom met my stepdad, we moved out and was all close over to like Chalmers, Shoto area.
Okay.
And I actually got picked on a lot. I got bullied as a kid quite a bit.
Okay.
So I actually started picking up the pen as a way to kind of get people to leave me alone. You know what I mean? So it was just part of the, I don't know, my mentality at that point. I was like, if I get good enough at rapping, maybe they'll leave me alone. Maybe they'll respect me.
That was your almost your way out of that, man. Being bullied, I've been there. Kids are cruel, man. People are cruel. If you don't mind me asking, what was it?
Yeah, I was the nerdy white kid, bro. I had, braces. I had like terrible acne. All of this hadn't grown in yet, So I was just a nerdy white kid with glasses and braces and acne and trying to fit in a new school, new place I wasn't really familiar with.
For sure.
So it was just being different.
Okay.
And just not really being a part of the cool crowd.
The cool crowd, for sure. Okay. You obviously grew out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So not till later you start picking up your pen and your pad because of the bullying. What were you writing about? What was your verses looking like?
It's crazy. When I started writing, I was really kind of emulating a lot of what I was listening to at that point. And at that time, it was a lot of more like 50 Cent.
Okay.
It was like Get Rich or Die Trying to just come out. G-Unit's album, the first one he did with Buck and Banks.
Mm-hmm.
Eminem Show. I even went back to like NWA and like the first NWA album, Dr. Dre, The Chronic, Snoop Dogg. So nothing really to me at the time that was kind of like conveying my life at that point, just emulating what I was listening to. Trying to put it into my own little spin.
Gotcha.
But then as I started to do it more, it became more about self-expression. I got the respect from the people that were picking on me that left me alone. But then it became more about like, well, this actually makes me feel better. This helps me cope with my stress. This helps me cope with the world. And I just kept at it ever since.
Nice. And now we're progressing into a little older. When did you think like I could do this? Like, were there other kids in your area doing music? Did you have to venture out to find other people?
Oh yeah. I started rapping. There was of course like other kids that were rapping at the time as well. So I kind of had people to kind of bounce energy off and ideas, And so like middle school, early high school, like the ciphers to me was always like my place for me to prove myself.
Okay.
So I was, like some like 8 miles.
You was jumping in there.
Yeah, no, I really was, man, because I knew like I had to really, because of me being so different and just always being so misunderstood, I felt like I always had to fight the hardest to prove myself.
For sure. When was the first time you ever got in the booth to record yourself? How young were you?
16.
16? Early, man.
Yeah.
Some people don't get to the booth until later in life, man. It took me forever to get in the booth. I wrote music and rapped in the room, but it took forever to get to the studio. I actually drove to Louisiana to get in my first studio for one song. Yeah, from here, 12 hours to go record a verse, actually.
Wow.
So how'd that feel when you got in that booth and recorded your first song?
It was definitely foreign, like when you're starting. You're not used to hearing yourself recorded.
Right.
You're always very hypercritical. Like I thought everything I was recording sounded terrible. I didn't like my voice, didn't like anything. But I had gotten so proficient at writing and like memorizing everything, it didn't take very long for me to record anything. So that gave me a lot more time to kind of critique it and work on it and make it to where I was happy with it. Definitely.
Okay. Now, you put any projects out when you were that young, like at 16, 17?
I did actually. I cut a demo, just as like some remixes I'd written.
Okay.
I wrote a remix to "It Was a Good Day" by Ice Cube. "Grew Up a Screw Up" by Ludacris. "Dreams" by Game, and "Flashing Lights" by Kanye West. So it was like my first like demo cut. Yeah.
You still have those?
I don't, man.
I wish, right? Man.
But that was like my first cut. Was those 4 songs.
Okay. And you passed them out to people? What'd you do? Yeah, you was flooding the block?
Check this out.
Hell yeah. That's, man, the days. All right. So advancing from there, you're recording, you passing out CDs. When did you say to yourself, I'm gonna be a rapper? Like I'm gonna take this to the next level.
I mean, it's probably like in the process of writing those songs, like those remixes, and just like getting to the point where I was like, I'm gonna record this, I'm gonna pass it out. Because up until that point, like I said, I was always really indecisive. I never really knew what I wanted to do. My family would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
Be, doctor, lawyer, spaceman, and I never really had an answer.
Yeah.
So once I found music, it really stuck with me. So I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Music, definitely. All right. You became a member of any groups or anything, or you just?
Yeah. In high school, I actually ended up meeting a couple others. Like myself, and we just kind of clicked really well.
Okay.
Personality-wise, like just kind of all on the same page. I was a part of a group called Wicked Minded Maniacs with Jacob Hernandez and Hector. In high school, we put out a mixtape called Wicked Minded Maniacs. It was like 13 tracks, and we recorded that all at another friend of mine, Aaron's house, which is like right down the way from the high school.
Okay.
Like we would literally get out of school and go record.
Out of school and straight to the booth.
Yeah.
Music was life. Hell yeah, man. When did you do your first show? Was it with your group or was it after your group?
It was with a different group. I ended up being in a group with Aaron and this cat named James Adams.
Rest in peace.
Ended up being Drastic Measures for about 3 years.
Okay.
And we did our first show, I think, was at either the Conspiracy Room at Uptown Theater.
Okay.
Or Damage Control off of Nolan Road in Independence.
Okay.
It was like 1819.
Aaron's last name is Hernandez?
No, his last name is Leslie.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a different Aaron you was with.
Hector. Jacob Hernandez.
Jacob Hernandez and okay.
Yeah.
I'm listening. I'm like, hold on. I was like, okay. Yeah. That's what's up, bro. Yeah. How was it? How was your first show?
First show, it was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Because I'd done talent shows at high school too.
Okay.
Like either my sophomore or junior year. As soon as I started having the talent shows at Win and Talk, I would do them like every chance I got. So I already had a little bit of like comfortability on stage, but it's different from being at your high school to being at like an actual
club. Yeah, definitely.
So I don't think I did that.
You did well.
But I mean, it's the things you learn.
Oh, definitely. Learn and grow, man. So you got your first show out the way.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it might not have went the way you wanted to, were you ready for more?
Oh, for sure. I think, and even now, like still performing, like I still do like those pre-show.
Oh, for sure, you got to get it.
But I think that's the passion of it. Like if it's something that doesn't make you nervous or excited, like.
What made you perfect your stage performance? Like, what did you do when you would go and perform, and you're like, what could I do better? What could I?
So when I was in Drastic Measures, Aaron, James, and myself, honestly, we used to rehearse a lot.
Okay.
We took a lot after Tech, Chris, and Cut, man. We'd watch their stage show.
That's a hell of a stage show, bro.
Yeah, man. I mean, of course, we didn't have like all the special effects,
definitely.
But, like, just the professionalism and just the way we moved on stage, we wanted to be as top tier as we could make it.
Definitely.
So we would always rehearse a lot at James's house, at his mom's house, in
okay. Nice.
And so before every show, we rehearse at least like a couple of times a week.
That's dope, bro.
Times, man.
At least y'all had it.
Just make sure we get as polished as possible, man.
Definitely, man. Strategy. How long were you in that group for?
So about 2-3 years.
2-3 years.
We did 3 full projects.
Nice.
Coldest Season Volume 1, Midwest Meltdown, and Murder by Moonlight.
Okay. And so after the group, you obviously went to your solo mission, or did you go to another group?
We disbanded from that. Aaron and I kind of stuck it out for a little bit longer. We were like a duo. We became 1331 in 2013.
1331, okay.
We were working on an album, and then that kind of fell apart. And then in 2014, I finally went solo.
Okay, I feel old, man, because I remember Drastic Measures.
Yeah.
And you said you ain't go. Y'all did 13. What you say, 1331?
Mm-hmm.
In 2013?
Mm-hmm.
Nah. Yeah, I feel old right now just thinking about that, bro. Like, hold on, Drastic Measures before that? Okay. So, how did it feel going on your solo mission?
It's definitely a change. It was difficult at first because I'd gotten so used to being in that collaborative space.
For sure.
thankfully, Aaron and I, whenever we would sit together and work on a lot of the songs, he would write the hooks. Like Aaron was fantastic at making hooks, verses, the catchy stuff. Like that was his, his thing. I was really great at like verses and lyricism in general. But so having that experience, being able to work with him, really gave me the experience to start, being able to work on writing my own choruses, structuring songs out. And I think, to me, it was like I have to really prove myself as a solo artist instead of being able to lean on so many other people.
For sure.
Or like having one song where it's just one verse and I'm on the hook or whatever, and then how do I fill out the rest of the song? Like, well, I got to do it now,
Definitely. How is, for you, how do you think the music scene in Kansas City is now compared to when you started, moving around in the city?
Yeah. It's different. I don't know how to explain that it's different, but it's, so I started when I was like 18, 19, at least started doing shows and actually stepping out, when we were Drastic Measures, I got to meet Lee Joe Green, rest in peace. I got to meet Nessa Honor, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
So like I was able to, and we did a show, we opened up for Cut, New Year's Eve at Damage Control. I mean, so like being that young and just getting to be around everybody, all these, especially in Kansas City,
for sure,
up to, was a really like big thing for me. Scene is definitely different now. The social media age it definitely has its effect. Just on the way that people network and try to promote their music. It's not the same as like having a stack of CDs in your car, your trunk, and try to sell them and go, drive around the city. I'll bring you a CD, I'll bring you some merch or whatever. Yeah,
I feel that.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe.